No, because to me that was that was the craziest part of the story was that nobody believed it. Like I was several minutes into the story and I kind of looked around and I could see that not a single person who was looking at me was like nodding their head like, "Oh yeah, we're here with you. Like we get it." Like trying to, pipe in or anything. That none of them. And I said, I was like, but you guys, do you know what I'm right
Yeah.
talking about?
Well,
Right? Nothing? No.
So-
And silence.
Yep.
Which is just a very uncomfortable situation to be in.
Well, it's also, it feels like a lot of what happens here on the Bumper Podcast, where you come in, a bull in a china shop, and you burst in the doors, which also they're made of glass, not china, but it's one of those glasses that is it doesn't shatter. It's shatterproof glass, right? Then you come in. But then the shelves are all around, and the shelves are also glass. Really, in the china shop, it's not one of these things where it's just the china that you're worried about, right? It's the china, obviously, if you're china shop, it's the biggest thing that you're going to worry about getting broken. But, you got your displays, you got your doors, whatnot. There's just a lot of investment. Like, what is it, a carpet floor? You're going to be like a bull on a carpeted floor. That's going to get destroyed. Is it a wood floor? Again, scuffed up. Probably have some real, just issues. I try to think just something dragged across the wooden floor so you can't, it's destroyed.
Yeah. Now, Aloysius, hello everybody, this is me, Rufus, T. Rufus. I worked in, nobody knows this, I don't think, but I did work retail coming up through law school. I actually worked in, now it wasn't a china shop particularly, but we did sell some pieces. But the wood floor, now what we had there is you'd have issues where the displays, if you didn't move them around properly, they would gouge, I think is the word you're looking for. They would gouge the wood floors, just put real, just not even a scrape, but this actual, like, you're going to have to refinish it to fix that. And
but,
I remember one time
Rufus, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Well, yeah, so thank you. I don't know why we're fixating on the china shop part here or working retail. What I was talking to, like, when you're in a group of people and everyone's talking and everyone's having fun, and then you jump in with a story and you're like, this is it. This story, this is really, it's moving the conversation forward. It ties into everything that we're talking about. It makes sense that I would bring it up. And then, a little bit into the story, you realize that the room has become silent. Like, not even, like, if you're at a restaurant, it's not even just your table that's become silent. There are, the workers are standing around, just looking, not even at you because they're too uncomfortable to look at you. Other tables, maybe they were about to pay their checks. They've just sat back down, put their hands on top of each other on the table, and they're kind of looking at their hands, just nerves. And you look around and you go, oh no, did I do this? Did I wow. Did I end the whole restaurant for right now? Is that what I've done socially? Am I that socially awkward that I have managed to shut down an entire business? So
So Natty, I know exactly what you're talking about because it's a situation that's happened to me more than one time where I was, I was in the lily pads. We saw the pond, one of the ponds we go to, and then there was a lily pad, and sometimes after we have the dinner of we eat some flies and some like little. That's really what we eat is the bugs. It's delicious if you cook them properly, which is to say you don't cook them at all because once you cook them, they don't taste good. But I'm a frog, so everyone needs to understand that my palate might be a little bit different than your palate. But anyway, after we eat, we like to sit and look at the moon, and maybe there's a dragonfly just kind of buzzing by, and And one time I remember that I was telling a story, and, nighttime on the pond can be a pretty loud place. There's a lot of good stuff going on where you would go, the ribbit, whatever, and then there's over here you have the little skis, little noises. There's a lot of noises around the pond. They're beautiful, calming noises, but it can be a bit cacophonous in the nicest way. And I was telling a story, and then I looked around because I noticed that it was getting very quiet. And sometimes frogs, when they're very uncomfortable, what they'll do is they're just like, they don't even jump off the lily pad. They just kind of tilt the lily pad, so they'll just kind of slide into the water. And everyone had just disappeared. Just me there. No dragonflies, no. The moon was even behind the clouds, because I guess my story was that. I don't know if it was boring or if it was just kept going on and on, or if it was no one was interested, or I don't really know what happened, but it didn't feel so good. So I know kind of what. There's no china shop, there's no glass, none of this stuff. But we don't really do that in the pond. But just a lot of nobody around type of thing.
Yeah, I can kind of see just from listening to your story. Listen, it was a fine story. It's a great story, but then at a point, it seemed like you kind of just lost the thread a little bit. You kind of started. It was almost like you got sleepy. It's like you're telling a story, and there's a restaurant, and your flies you're eating, and lily pads, and dragonflies, and nice stuff. Really painting a picture for me. And then kind of towards the end, when you start talking about the people who kind of just sliding into the water, I was looking around trying to find myself a little bit of water to slide into myself. And that's, nothing on you. You did a great job, but you just kind of, you just ran out of steam. Like if you were a train, if you were a steam engine, you just stopped going. And that's okay. The station, it was right over there. The people can get out and they can walk, or we can send over a horse and buggy, whatever it is, to get the luggage. So you were close. You were very close.
Now talking about I was working retail and the bull. We're back to the bull now. The bull in the china shop. Now that recollection came to me when you just mentioned a horse and a buggy. Because there was one time in the shop that we had left the doors open for ventilation because it was a little bit stuffy inside. And, lo and behold, a horse just wandered right into the store, right? And you understand, horses are much more calm than bulls. That isn't to say that horses can't get excited and, whatever, they're all back on their haunches and they're being all big, whatever. But just in general, the horse was fine walking around the different displays. His feet were clean, so that the carpet was not an issue. And then when it got over to the hardwood floor now, it did get a little bit scuffed up. No gouges, but I think if I had to expound upon the saying, I'd say something along the lines of, you're like a bull. Don't be like a bull in a china shop. Be more like a horse who just happened to walk in because the people had working there had opened the door to let it just air out a little bit. I guess that's too wordy. I'm not being paid by the word here. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so yeah, I do like the bull in the china shop. Feel more like a horse. I don't really feel like a horse should go into a china shop either. Just it's what if it's busy? What if there's like a shop cat and it freaks the horse out? What if, there's just a lot of variables. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. What if there's like a clothing section, and the horse is just like I'm gonna munch on this I was gonna say camisole, but I don't know what that is. On this cami. No, on the, you know what? I'm just gonna eat these linens because they look and they smell delicious. I don't know how hungry this horse is. Whose horse is it anyway? Why is there just a horse wandering around the street, walking into shops? What is this chaos that we're living in?
Bruh, you're sitting here talking to a frog and to a pig and to a lawyer. So whatever, the animal that is. But why are we getting all held up on there being a horse walking into a store? I walked into like 7 stores yesterday. You know what anybody said to me? They said hello. That's what they said. They no one was just like, "Hey, pig, what you doing in here?" Right? Like one of them was even like Aloysius, like that, because it's a store that I've been in before. But that's not the point. My point is, sometimes a horse is going to have to go into a store, and that's just the way it is. And if you have carpets or if you have hardwood, that's on you. Okay? People come in with their steel-toe boots or their stiletto heels, and nobody's grabbing them. What is that doing to the hardwood? Gouging, I would assume, right? But all of a sudden, you got an equine specimen coming into the shop, and you're like, whoa, what is, like, that's not fair, and it's not right. It's not for you to judge, Bumper Car.
Yeah, and I don't, Pig, I can tell you're getting a little bit excited, and, there's very good reason, and I don't know, if there was judging going on necessarily, or if it was more just kind of like, talking about the situation, just like, whoa, how did this situation happen? And then, kind of trying to deconstruct it a little bit. But again, I was fine with it, so I don't want to, I just think we went from a bull, and then now he's a frog, and then the horse, and then the Aloysius, you're the pig. I don't go into stores as much as I used to, really. Just a few stores that I won't go into because I don't agree with, some of the things that they do. Not going to name any names, but I think you know. But so I don't online shop either because that's not good for the environment. So what I've started doing is really just not buying anything ever, which is great for my economy. I just have all of this money just stuffed into my mattress, my wet frog mattress.
Yeah, hold on. You got a mattress? You got a mattress full of money? Hold on a second. Where's that frog sleep at anyway?
Yeah, okay, anyway, Bumper Car, didn't you have some story at the beginning you want to tell? Maybe you should get to it finally. We went through the whole thing. What were you wanting to talk about?
Thank you, Aloysius. I really appreciate that. So it's not a big deal, but this story that I was telling, which I thought was going to be a great story that I thought everyone was going to love, it was about this time very recently when I went through, it was kind of a traumatic, but also kind of a hilarious scenario that I set myself up for. But I was like, everyone's going to love this story because it's about me doing dumb stuff.
The Bumper Podcast is an oftentimes hilarious weekly romp with Natty Bumpercar and some of his pals. It is family-friendly, clean, and ridiculous. Thanks a bundle for listening. If you love our show and you'd like to help support the podcast, check out our Patreon page at https://www.patreon.com/Natty Bumpercar. Also, pretty please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with everyone everywhere, post about it on all of the social medias, or leave a rating and review. The Bumper Podcast is produced at headquarters in Coffee Can Alley. It's recorded, mixed, and produced by producer. The Bumper Podcast features contributions from Aloysius J. Pig, Rufus T. Rufus, Doodle Poodle, Robot, Trunks, and a gaggle of other silly rascals. Our head talker is probably Natty Bumpercar. We also have an absurd newsletter. Check it out and subscribe at nattybumpercar.com/subscribe. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Natty Bumpercar. Hugs and hearts. See you soon.